A vase lies shattered on the floor, and a startled woman's voice is heard, questioning what she heard. The woman's hands tremble as she seeks confirmation. One is missing and the other 6 were found dead. The butler confirms, adding that young Master Cyan left Saffern 10 days ago. Having heard everything, the woman was deeply shocked and exclaimed, "You said it wouldn't be a problem. How did that happen?" The butler bowed apologetically and replied, "We've underestimated the young master." Enraged, the woman rebuked him, "How can you fail at getting rid of some little child?" The butler, with a worried expression, attempted to suggest, "I think there must be someone behind the scenes that we don't know of. If you give me one more chance, I'll send someone to the academy too." The woman cut him off angrily and anxiously stated, "Enough. If we do that, then Cyan, if he puts even a hand on Kranz." Remembering Cyan's terrifying face and his past threats, she added, "Don't you want your son to graduate in one piece?" Just recalling it made the woman fearful of the consequences if she took any further action. She then turned away and ordered the butler, "It's fine. Don't do anything." The butler bowed in obedience. The woman continued, "And no one must know about this." The butler acknowledged the request and followed the woman's instructions. As the butler left, his actions caught the attention of Ashel, the elder brother.
Story shifts to Cyan, who lounges comfortably on a horse carriage.
Thinking, "It has been 10 days since we left Saffern. Brian has been acting as my subordinate all this time. I assume they know that I'm still alive. At this rate, I'll safely arrive at the Royal Academy, so I'll have to think about what to do with Brian." Interrupting Cyan's rest, Brian opens the carriage window and announces their arrival. Cyan half opens his eyes, confirming the information. As they reach the academy, Cyan reminisces, brings back the old days. "I can't really call them good memories, but this academy changed me in many ways." Cyan stands before the academy's reception desk, presenting his family crest and introducing himself as Cyan Vert of the Duke Vert family. The staff, upon hearing Cyan's family name, express surprise. The woman attempts to regain composure and welcomes Cyan with a smile. "Yes, of course. You're registered." She then instructs Cyan, "You just need to go to the assigned dormitory and wait. You'll need to attend the entrance ceremony and the elemental test in 2 days." Cyan is surprised to learn he's been assigned a private room and wonders if he's misunderstanding something. The woman remains silent, handing Cyan a tray with his belongings, including a key to his designated room and a letter. Cyan, still incredulous, tries to confirm with the woman, "Are you sure you haven't made a mistake?" Cyan and Brian move to their assigned room. Brian, overwhelmed, drops all the luggage abruptly. With a shocked expression, he stares wide-eyed and speechless. As Cyan enters the room, he observes the luxurious surroundings and quietly evaluates the royal hall. "No one in my family has ever gotten assigned to the royal hall. Someone has to be behind this." Cyan turns to Brian to confirm the information and asks, "Is that all the luggage there was?" Brian, still in shock, responds firmly, "Yes. That's all you had." Cyan then reaches into his coat, intending to retrieve something, and says, "Since I made it to the academy and all the luggage is here, your role is done." Brian, terrified by Cyan's words, breaks into a cold sweat and begs Cyan for mercy. However, Cyan surprises him by tossing a bag of gold coins. Brian, bewildered, tries to understand the situation. Cyan turns away towards the window, waving his hand, and says, "For all your work. It should be enough to help you start a new life wherever you go. You might end up dead, so don't go back to Velias. Although I won't stop you." Hearing this, Brian's expression becomes solemn, and he stands frozen for a moment. Then suddenly, Brian kneels on one knee and declares, "I, Ryan Kendrick, an official knight of Velias, would like permission to serve you my entire life." Cyan, with a puzzled, naive expression, asks, "You're a knight? I thought you were a coachman." Brian responds hesitantly, "Yes. Although I'm the lowest of the low, so I was on stuff like coachman duty." Brian then adds, "My father always used to tell me that if I meet someone I can trust and serve all my life, I should ask to serve him without hesitation." Hearing Cyan's unsatisfied tone, Brian doesn't fully grasp what Cyan is referring to. Cyan, now emanating a formidable aura, looks at Brian and asks, "How do you know that I won't stab you in the back in the future?" Despite being fearful, Brian firmly replies, "Even if you were to, it doesn't matter." Upon receiving Brian's steadfast answer, Cyan pats him on the shoulder, acknowledging his loyalty, and says, "Don't ever think about betraying me." Cyan then leaves, stating, "I don't want to go to the entrance ceremony. Let's just go to the elemental test." Brian responds, "Yes, young master," and watches Cyan leave, still puzzled by everything. Meanwhile, in the Royal Academy Dean's office, Kundal Kuzel evaluates. "It seems like we have quite a few talented students at the elemental test this year, based on the results of the previous assessment. Notable individuals this year include Princess Erin Severus, with a 2-star mana control ability, B-rank physical ability, and 52% purity in the light attribute. Seth Shaharkin follows with a 3-star mana control ability, A-rank physical ability, and 71% purity in the sand attribute." The Royal Academy Dean stroked his beard and held the evaluation report in his hand. These children are surprising enough. However, when it came to the Cyan character, the Royal Academy Dean was somewhat puzzled about his stats. With a mana control ability of only 1 star, his physical abilities were ranked S and his attribute was dark, with a purity level of up to 92%. The woman in front of him, named Sarika Nigrathi, held the position of Academy Instructor. She expressed that even Alice Vert, who was titled God's Child, was only 88% in the water element by the time she graduated. The Royal Academy Dean evaluated, "Interesting. Even the child who was praised for possessing top-notch talents could not match up to her younger brother." Sarika Nigrathi agreed with the Academy Dean and expressed concern that the Cyan character's attribute is darkness. The Academy Dean also commented, "His talents might rot, yes, considering that his element is darkness." Then he asked Sarika Nigrathi, "Were you aware that Cyan Bert was assigned to the Royal Hall?" Sarika Nigrathi replied, "Yes, I heard from the other instructors." At this point, the Academy Dean explained further, "It was the Emperor's orders." This surprised Sarika Nigrathi greatly. The Academy Dean added, "Apparently, Cyan saved the young princess from the monsters in the front lines. He's even considering marrying the 5th princess, who was considered a failure, to marry into the Verts who had never failed to raise extremely talented individuals." Then he asked Sarika Nigrathi, "What kind of consequences do you think that would have?" Sarika Nigrathi speculated, "The conflicts over the succession will be heightened, and the empire might split up over the issue, perhaps leading to a civil war." The Academy Dean reminded her, "Don't overthink it. All we can do is watch, anyway. It's for us to witness whether that child will become the empire's hero or bring forth its downfall." Meanwhile, after the examination, the Cyan character was moving along the corridor, thinking about the test results, especially his attribute purity score of darkness, which was very high at 92%. This led him to speculate, "I think I was in the 80s in my past life. Is it from drinking all that demonic beast blood?" Suddenly, he encounters Kranz in the hallway. While Cyan greets Kranz normally, Kranz, visibly frightened, retreats. Cyan privately reflects, "Yeah, I'm sure it's really shocking to see someone you thought was dead." However, alongside Kranz was another tall figure who didn't seem friendly at all. This person asked Kranz, "Is this the kid you treat like your slave?" Kranz, now fearful of the question from his companion, stuttered in response, Huh, yeah, this is Cyan." The young man with a mocking smile looked at Cyan and insulted him, "I heard you don't even know your mom is." Cyan looked at this young man and recognized him as Popper Panarin, the son of Baron Kingdom's Marquis Panarin. "He's someone who bullied me as much as Kranz did in my past life." Cyan's eyes quickly changed as he thought about those memories. Cyan smiled wickedly and declared, "How lucky of me to meet him now." Popper, still oblivious to the looming threat, urged Kranz, "Move. Someone like him needs a good beating." Kranz, afraid, responded, "Huh? Popper, wait." Popper, unaware of the danger before him, commented on Cyan, What's with his eyes?" Kranz tried to avoid a confrontation with Cyan and suggested, "Hey, why don't we just go to the cafe?" But things took a turn for the worse. Cyan suddenly rushed forward, kicking Popper straight into the wall, causing it to crack behind him. Kranz, with a shocked expression, called out the name of his friend. After receiving Cyan's kick, Popper now lay unconscious on the floor. Cyan then turned to Kranz, his brother, and said, "Why don't we have a chat, Kranz?" Kranz, terrified, could only stammer apologies. Cyan, with a terrifying expression, approached Kranz, placing a hand on his shoulder, causing Kranz to sweat and nearly cry. Cyan leaned in close to Kranz's ear and whispered, "I don't care what you do behind my back. Because I'm lenient, but if I ever see you again, you will be graduating in a wheelchair." Kranz, petrified by the threat, was rendered speechless, trembling in fear. After Cyan left, Kranz collapsed to the floor, overwhelmed by the fear Cyan instilled in him. Cyan, with a sinister smile, thought to himself, I think my life here is going to be fun. Meanwhile, in the Royal Academy's library, Sarika, an academy instructor, was moving through the shelves, contemplating Cyan. A hero or a downfall? I'll have to keep a close eye on Cyan. She then moved towards the spot where the book she wanted was supposed to be, only to find it missing. She wondered about the disappearance of the book when suddenly Cyan appeared behind her and asked, Are you looking for this? Startled by Cyan's presence, Sarika tried to remain calm and forced a smile, saying, Oh. How did a student get in here? Students aren't allowed in here. In her mind, Sarika was alarmed. I couldn't detect his presence? She then tried to pretend she didn't know Cyan and asked, You're Mr. Cyan, am I correct? Can you give that to me? I really need it for my research. Cyan responded with a friendly face. Bis? Of course. Cyan handed Sarika something resembling a letter instead of the book she was looking for. Sarika was about to thank Cyan when suddenly, a sharp weapon attacked Cyan from Sarika's direction, catching him off guard. Fortunately, what was cut off was the book, not Cyan's body. Cyan, now vigilant, said, Is that not what you were looking for? Instructor Surik. Cyan changed his tone and said again, No. The assassin organization Mist's Hall Master, Sarika Nigrati? Sarika now revealed her true self with a cold gaze, holding the letter hidden within the book, and asked Cyan, What the hell? How do you know that? Cyan then recounted, In my past life, I thought Instructor Sarika's first impression was very ordinary. She was very friendly. She inquired about the situation at the academy and was very interested, often conversing with me. She expects growth from me? Someone who's being bullied by his own brother. It sounded like a joke. At that moment, Sarika said to Cyan, I'm actually very interested in you. This caught Cyan by surprise. Sarika acknowledged Cyan's abilities and said, It's rare to see someone with 84% in the dark element. Cyan, with a self-conscious face, responded, But I was told that it's not a special element. Sarika continued to encourage and uplift Cyan, stating, That's because humanity doesn't know much about it. I actually think that your growth potential is infinite. In Cyan's mind, a thought emerged. I was swept up in confusion. Maybe this person can help me. However, at the current moment, Cyan realized, that was my misunderstanding. I was being deceived. I must not fall for that innocent-looking face. Being an instructor here is her cover job. She's actually an assassin. She's the Hall Master of the assassin organization, Mist. And she's hiding out in the academy where all the royals and nobles of the continent come to learn. Sarika, now composed, suggested, I'll hear you out in my lab. Come with me. Sarika's demeanor surprised Cyan, revealing a foolish expression. In Cyan's mind, he thought, she didn't really react as dramatically as I had expected. At this point, both of them were in Sarika's lab, surrounded by numerous peculiar items. Cyan looked around and assessed, this place has a change. Cyan, now composed, casually sipped his tea. Then, he smiled brightly and said, You put poison in the tea. In Cyan's mind, he evaluated, I knew things were going too smoothly. Sarika responded with a cheerful smile, saying, It's not a very severe poison. Don't worry, it'll only melt your organs. Cyan confidently thought, but this won't work on me. I'm someone who has consumed countless demonic beasts' blood in Emily's food. Cyan then changed his demeanor, revealing a serious expression fitting the current situation, and said, Maybe use something a bit stronger next time. Sarika, no longer attempting friendliness, said, Then, shall we talk? She asked Cyan, How do you know who I am? Plus, you knew that I received my orders in that specific unpopular book in the library. You were aware of the exact location too. Are you perhaps trying to tell me that you're also a part of Mist? Cyan calmly responded with a question, What more proof do you need? Hearing this, Sarika became somewhat uncomfortable and exclaimed, You got a big head because of your elemental test, huh? Cyan didn't answer Sarika's question but recounted to her, before setting off to Chatran, I was asked by everyone, if just one escort knight will do. And a coachman at that. Because nobles have been murdered left and right recently. Then, Cyan questioned Sarika, when did the purification project begin? Sarika feigned ignorance and asked back about the purification project. With hostility emanating from her, she confirmed, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Cyan, also displaying strength, emitted her own hostility and replied, I'm referring to the assassinations, of course. Sarika, now with a threatening tone, said, You might regret what you just said. Unfazed, Cyan confronted Sarika. Are you threatening a student right now? Sarika didn't stop a conversation. She flipped the table they were sitting at to obstruct Cyan's view. With a serious expression, Cyan prepared to defend herself and asked, "So that's how you're going to respond?" Then, he punched directly into the table, breaking it in half. Sarika, with the skills of an assassin, appeared on the ceiling with 2 daggers in hand, ready to attack Cyan. Cyan, recognizing the presence of Sarika as an assassin herself, calmly stated, "I thought I proved my identity enough." Sarika showed no intention of stopping. She swiftly lunged towards Cyan, threatening, "Even if you're really a part of Mist, there can't be a member I don't know about, since I am a Hull Master." Then followed 2 lightning-fast strikes. Cyan managed to evade the attacks just in time. Sarika persevered, speaking with an excited smile, "I won't let you go." Cyan, now wearing a displeased expression, drew the Karam blade and said, "Phew. I guess I have no choice then." He then launched a direct attack towards Sarika with just one hand, pushing her back in surprise at his strength. Changing his grip on Karan, he rushed at Sarika with a serious expression, stating, "If you can't believe me, then I'll show you." This was followed by a series of attacks from various angles, making it difficult for her to defend herself. Eventually, she called for a halt to the fight, astonished and questioning the object Cyan held. She wondered, that dagger, is it the demonic sword Karan, that only the one chosen by Eru can wield?" Cyan, holding Karan, spoke coldly, "Do you believe me now? I assume Mist is looking for the successor right now." Sarika, bewildered, questioned, "How do you know that?" Cyan confirmed with a cold expression, "The very person you've been searching for is right here." He then requested Sarika, "Bring me to Eru." At that moment, in a street somewhere in Lewin, the entire area was enveloped in darkness, with a sliver of moonlight shining down. Sarika led Cyan, using magic to open a door. As the door opened, a gloomy mist emerged from deep within the room. Sarika then said to Cyan, "You're not even surprised that there is a mist base in a place like this. Here, this is the path to the altar you wanted to go to. You are on your own from here onwards." Then, Sarika left, leaving Cyan alone to proceed into the darkness. Cyan observed his surroundings and assessed, "This is a unique realm made with the power of the god of fog. Because of that, it's much bigger than it looks from the outside." Cyan also noticed the presence of ambushers, thinking, "Anyway, 2 at 4 o'clock, 3 at 11 o'clock. Shortly after, daggers were suddenly thrown towards Cyan, but he anticipated them and easily blocked them all. However, these attacks were just distractions. 2 masked assassins approached Cyan from behind. Cyan calmly thought, "I predicted this, but this kind of welcome ceremony is a bit much, isn't it?" As the 2 assassins attacked Cyan, he calmly dodged and stepped back. The speed of their attacks was so fast that their figures seemed like flashes of red light. They also threw a barrage of concealed weapons at Cyan, but he remained calm and blocked them all. At the same time, Cyan countered by throwing the daggers back at the assassins, nearly striking one in the face. Nevertheless, the assassin's skills were not to be underestimated. Despite the close range, the assassin managed to deflect all but thrown daggers. Cyan observed the situation and thought, "He deflected my dagger? In that short of a moment?" He admired their exceptional assassination techniques. Not giving Cyan any respite, all the assassins targeted him for an attack. Their secret technique expansion was activated, followed by the Death Horn formation. Cyan was put in a difficult position as he was attacked from all 4 directions simultaneously. However, this did not seem to trouble Cyan much. He had grasped their assassination techniques, and in the next moment, Cyan used his own secret technique expansion. His entire body emitted a red aura surrounding his form. The assassins were astonished when they saw this, realizing it was their own secret technique. They were even more shocked that this technique was being executed by a child. As the 4 assassins closed in on Cyan, he quickly executed the skilled Bloodthirst wave, causing the red aura to surge in a wave covering the surrounding area. Cyan explained, "Bloodthirst wave. It's a secret technique exclusive to assassins that allows you to manifest bloodthirst into a physical form to attack others." As the assassins were hit by the technique, the red aura enveloped their bodies, squeezing them and making it impossible for them to breathe. After a while, all the present assassins who were hit by the technique fell unconscious. Cyan observed the situation and confirmed that they won't be able to get up for a while. However, things were not over yet. Cyan's attention turned to the final assassin. This assassin had been standing and observing without taking any action until now. Cyan watched this assassin and silently assessed, though, this one is still standing. Is he a higher up? To avoid being caught off guard, Cyan proactively activated the skill, Fog Sword. Unshakable roots of a great tree. At that moment, power was focused into the demon sword Karen. But before Cyan could use the skill, the assassin began to move quickly towards Cyan, attacking him swiftly. Cyan tried to block the assassin's attack and was surprised by his strength. Cyan's mind quickly assessed, he managed to stop my technique midway through. Who is he? Right after, the assassin's mask fell, and the assassin expressed surprise, saying, "You're adept at my Cyan skill." "I can't hold back any longer," Cyan burst. However, when the mask was removed, the assassin facing Cyan was none other than Sarika. Cyan was stunned and surprised by the situation when he realized it was Hall Master Sarika. At that moment, Sarika gave a deranged smile and blushed red as she obsessively demanded the main character, "Show me your true powers." Immediately, Cyan used the skill, Thick Fog 8 Form Assault. As the name suggests, the skill created 8 slashes in 1 second, attacking Sarika directly. This forced Sarika to be pushed back. The skill inadvertently cut the hair tie binding Sarika's hair, revealing her smooth and beautiful hair. Sarika, with a look of delight, remarked, "You're proficient with the thick fog and the fog sword too. You're making me even more interested." She then demanded, "Cyan, show me your true potential, Cyan." However, before she could finish her sentence, Cyan had already run away. Observing the current situation, Sarika immediately activated the skill called Zeal for Combat. Meanwhile, Cyan was hurrying away from Sarika's reach, his mind filled with worry as he assessed, that is what drives Sarika. A Hall Master who's drunk with such desire will want to fight until one of us dies. Only those who have experienced this would know. Cyan's face started to show fear. Meanwhile, Sarika, using the skill to move through walls, quickly approached Cyan with a terrifying, lustful gaze like a demon hunting its prey. With her face blushing in a mad smile, she spoke in a terrifying voice, "Come back here, Cyan burst. Isn't this what you wanted too?" Then, Sarika used the skill, Fog Sword, rushing Fog Storm, creating slashes that blocked all of Cyan's escape routes. Cyan tried to defend himself but was pushed back. His mind thought, "I'm not as perverted as you, though." At this moment, Sarika said to Cyan, "This is a realm created by Eru. The outside won't detect your energy at all, so you don't need to worry about that." Upon hearing that, Cyan decided, "Alright, I can use all the techniques I want in a place like this. I could probably end up killing her, but oh, well." The next second, Cyan's entire body changed. A red aura surrounded him, and his eyes turned red, indicating that he had merged with Karen. Suddenly, Cyan exhibited strange behavior. His whole body suddenly froze, and then he fell face first onto the ground, unconscious, to Sarika's surprise. She didn't understand what was happening to him. Suddenly, Karam's voice echoed, "I knew it. You can rest." Then a dark energy gathered and formed Karam's body. Sarika, still uncertain about the identity of the woman before her, was taken aback. Karam spoke with a threatening tone, "I didn't want to intervene. You know me, right?" Sarika recognized her and knelt down to show respect, saying, "Yes, demonic sword, Karam." Karam, now visibly angry, questioned Sarika, "So, what's the situation? You're supposed to worship Eru, yet you're attacking my master?" Sarika attempted to explain, "I was just verifying if he truly is who he claims to be, whether he really is the successor or not." Karam was not satisfied with Sarika's response and unleashed a fearsome power, stating, "You could have just called for your god instead, Ben. And if you want to, can I take this as a direct challenge against me?" Sarika did not respond directly but offered an awkward smile and reminded Karam, "I think we should focus on the successor first." Karam was puzzled, but when she looked down, she saw Cyan lying in a pool of blood. Alarmed, she exclaimed, "What? Why are you dying?" Sarika explained, "You manifested into your whole form, but that is a very inefficient way of doing it. It eats away at the owner's life force." Hearing this, Karam became furious and without mercy, grabbed Cyan by the collar and lifted him up, chastising him, "Hey, this is nothing. What was the point of drinking all that beast blood then?" Sarika intervened, saying, "But I, Hall Master Sarika Nigra the Mist, do not reject any fights. Plus, if you're the opponent, I can't turn it down." Karam was disturbed by Sarika's fighting enthusiasm and thought to herself, "What the hell's wrong with her? I'm scared. At this moment, Cyan began to regain consciousness and demanded Karam release him. After Karam let him go, she asked how Cyan was feeling. Cyan, looking exhausted with dark circles under his eyes, questioned Karam, "Why did you suddenly manifest?" Karam responded with a mischievous smile, "Just stay behind me. I have to teach that wench a lesson." Sarika, delighted, prepared for battle and said, "It'd be an honor, Karam." Karam, feeling disrespected, responded, "Don't be crying and begging for my forgiveness later then." Sarika was unfazed and provoked her further, "I'd love it if you could push me to that point." Suddenly, a whispering voice in Sarika's ear said, "That's enough." Sarika recognized it was Aries' voice. At that moment, a blue space portal opened in the air, drawing Karam and Cyan's attention. From the portal came a voice commanding Sarika, "Send the successor to the altar." Sarika respectfully obeyed and replied, "Yes, Eru." Cyan watched the scene with a sense of relief and quietly affirmed, "Finally, I get to meet Eru, the god of darkness." Thank you all for watching our video today. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications so you won't miss any future uploads. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below about what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.